if you want to get the fastest way to the desired outcome, then you remove as many barriers as possible. So with that being said, if they have to think, if they have to pay, if they have too big of a learning curve, all of those things get in the way from them producing an appointment and or closing a sale for you. So just, I mean, think about it like an obstacle course. Here's the beginning, here's the end. Them getting a sale and then at the starting line, remove as many things in between that as possible so they can just learn what to say and how to say it and then go do it and know when to do it and how to do it. And like, that's it. Like, so that's always been my thing with training for sales is how can I water down the process so much that it's easily digestible and then easily replicatable for the average person. And then the smart guys like you will always get it. But when thinking about like how you can build a sales army or take someone who's serving or even from fast food or from working in the middle of the mall, etc., in order to be able to help those guys transition faster, everything has to be so dumb simple that it's like really hard to fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like make it nearly impossible to mess up. And then humans tend to succeed faster that way.
Cool. Right on. Okay. That is fire.
Do you plan to hybrid or are you just like, I want to get fully immersed on the phones right now, get this locked in and then kind of go from there?
I definitely want to focus on getting into phone calls and then kind of get it dialed in to the point where I can bring people on and then kind of go from there and see if it's something where it's like, okay, we could still do, door to door. Because I know there's opportunity still in door to door. It's just that I know it's very hard to hire people for it. And it's just kind of like this freaking ring where you're going in circles and you're constantly having to fuel the fire for everyone. It gets very draining. And I feel like if it's in the comfort of home, it's just about being committed, even though it sounds tough and you're talking to like maybe like calling 200 people a day to get like one appointment. I feel like, at the end of the day, it's just really being committed at that point. I mean, but
and luck will find you being in the right place at the right time. So in the beginning, it might be just that hitting those type of numbers to get one appointment, but then the next day on any given day, you can get two really solid appointments in the first hour. It's very similar to the door, except you can hit more doors in an hour or in a day than you could ever physically do outside of there. It's actually way easier to get door guys after you have the phone situated because you can always offset how much they have to do on the doors with appointments that you're generating from the phones. So if you could go back in time and someone right when you got into solar, they're like, hey, we do have lead gen. We've got a call center here. You are expected to prospect, but at this company, we know that we could at least give you 3 appointments per week, right? So it's so much easier to knock all day when you know you have something that's going to be put on your schedule. But if every single day you just got to go hunt the next meal, it does get tiring. And then as a leader, manager, always having to inspire and light a fire under people's ass just to get them to work over time, like you mentioned, it's draining for all parties. But when you have leads, man, everything changes. And I knew if I wanted to scale the inside team for more sales, I needed to be running leads to give the best setters, the best leads, and then everybody else kind of had to work their way up. So we had a good mixture of everything, but enough to keep people hungry to basically drive production. And it definitely worked.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool. So this is the last question. I know I feel like I'm just like asking question after
good.
question.
That's what it's for.
But when you're getting the premium lead, so you say it's a mixture of Google, and Google's probably like the best bet, right? And I'm assuming YouTube or not YouTube, or YouTube. I mean, okay. And could you reach to a company who does it for you and just pay them to give you leads?
So that's how I started. That's how I got into YouTube from Facebook. I wanted to learn once the cost per lead in Facebook started to get high. It was really like a election time back in like 2020, and I was trying to figure out how to get basically more for less. I was like, okay, Facebook is starting to get, crowded. Let me see what this YouTube thing is about. But I didn't want to, I didn't really know how to manage it right away. So the first thing I did was I went to Solar Exclusive because they at the time were like the kings of generating on YouTube. And I used them while I was still running Facebook to see just how they could produce. And they produced pretty well. Then I bought another course on it, which I didn't need because it's actually pretty easy to put together. But that's how I got into it. But to answer the question, yes, I went to an agency first and then they did it. But they didn't show me anything. So that point was a little bit disappointing. They couldn't prove to me where my ad spend was actually going. When I would ask to see like my dashboard, they would just send me a spreadsheet where you could really punch anything in. But I never got any proof from them. I worked with them twice. Never got proof of them where the money that I was sending them for ad spend was actually going towards the ads. Because some months, I remember one of the times I canceled with them because we canceled twice. They generated like 21 leads in an entire month, and it was in like a January, so a slower month. And we're running it in Missouri. So I kind of get that. But for like $5,000, dude, it was just like, I was like, there's no way this money went to YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah. But
Damn.
anyways, yes, I would definitely, if you've got the resources, it's not a bad idea to go with one of those guys. The ones that I would vouch for, I do have a guy that I could introduce you to. For starters, I don't get a kickback or anything like that. You could just fill him out. He might have a lot smaller retainer, if any retainer. You guys might actually be able to work something out pretty good.
Nice.
But so he's pretty young too. He's on Telegram. I'll just intro you guys. But
Yeah.
solar exclusive. But again, be wary of
Yeah.
both the ups and downs that I mentioned. And then
Yeah.
Prospect Bacon has a really great reputation.
Okay.
But when I looked into them way back in the day, they had the highest management fee. And I was
Wow.
like, which for me, I already knew how to run my ads. I just
Yeah.
wanted to figure out what are the guys who are buying more media, spending more on media than me, like what are they doing different? So that was
Yeah.
really kind of half the reason that I partnered with them is to learn faster. The fastest way to learn shit is to basically do what you're doing now, pay someone who's already done it, and then like see how you can learn as much from them as possible instead of just
Yeah.
like spending years on trial and error. Because what people
Yeah.
don't realize about that is you're gonna spend the money regardless. Like
Yeah.
we spend the money wasting time or literally burning cash doing the wrong things, but the price will be paid regardless. So but the fact that I could, like I said, work with solar exclusive, obviously in solar, like it's very easy to recoup that investment. So even though we canceled a couple times, I never got burned on cash. And then also
Gotcha.
let me know like, hey, Google is definitely the way to go as far as switching ads to YouTube for more quality form fills. So yeah, I wouldn't change that. Pause and assess what outcome is most urgent and important to you and
Okay.
where you want to be. So there's learning the skill, and the purpose of learning the skill would be so that you could do the skill. But if you
Yeah.
don't actually want to do the skill, you just want to get the result, then
Mm.
your time is probably better spent investing in someone who could do it. That way you could get cash faster and then, rinse and repeat and then
Okay.
scale an organization. And then ultimately just hire someone who knows how to do it. So you work
Okay.
with an agency first, you get them in, they get you leads, you close deals, and then you go out and you just hire a kid who knows how to do it, and you give him a small salary plus commission based on his lead performance. But always think like, how do I keep my hands clean as a business owner? Because if you think that way now, while you hire more people, you'll never be in the position that I was when I make this comment all the time about being like a Wizard of Oz behind the curtain and doing being Wizard of Oz and doing everything from sales training to running the lead gen, doing the creatives, training the setters. I have all the people working for me, but I'm also like having to manage everything and have my hands in everything. Even if you're
Mm.
making a lot of money, dude, you're working so much and so
Yeah.
much relies on you that you can't really step away. And at that point, it's like we resist getting a job just to basically have like 3 full-time jobs in one. And it's like it is the golden handcuffs. So you don't want to do that. You definitely want to always figure out anything that I need, how can I get someone else to do it? If there's something that I need to know, who can I pay to get me that result, or who can I hire to do that thing so that I could be more hands off, if not completely hands off of that department or aspect of my business. And if you can do that again, foundationally now, and like really understand how important it is, you'll look up 6 months from now and you'll have all the free time in the world and you have a well-oiled machine that has, here's how we get leads. We have a lead manager or a lead coordinator who buys the leads from the sources that you've given them. They have a budget with the company credit card. They get the leads, they upload it into the CRMs. They work directly with the setter team lead on what campaigns are working, where we got the leads from, how much we're going to spend the next week, so on and so forth. The team lead uploads them into the dialers. The team lead works with the setters. The setters know which campaign to call. They have a whole process for managing themselves. The team lead from the setting department works from the team lead on the outside sales department and so forth. The operations team works in tandem with both of those departments. And then you yourself as an owner, you probably spend time working with sales managers and ops teams. And then maybe every now and then you'll do sales training with the teams below you. But happening to show up and be involved in every single meeting and have your hands in every single thing, it's tempting as an entrepreneur because we want to feel like we're working and we're grinding. But that's the trap. That's literally the trick that's played on everybody, even us entrepreneurs. We pride ourselves on resisting a 9 to 5 and like, I'll work 90 hours for myself before I work, 40 hours for someone else. But like, if you really stop and think about it, like, what sense does that make? Time is the only thing that we can't get back. We can drain our bank accounts right now and make that money back over the next month or the next year, so on and so forth, but we'll never get this time back. So running your business with the idea that time over money is going to get you the most money in the long run, and then the ability to enjoy the money.
Do you think it's possible? You said, the whole goal is to making 50K my first 30 days, right? Like that's kind of what I put in my brain. Like, I've done it multiple times selling door to door, but is it actually proven that I will be able to show myself, hey, I can do this on the phone, let's fucking go, Do you think it's possible doing that with just cold data for the first 30 days?
So I'm going to answer the question with the question, even though I hate when people do that. But if you consider the fact that you can prospect 5 times at a minimum more people by phone than you can by foot, can you think of any reason why you wouldn't? If you're able to talk to in a
Mm,
day 5 times more homeowners, but just simply not be there, but have a proven script to say over the phone, can you think of any reason why you wouldn't be able to set 1 to 2 appointments per day? Because
yeah,
if you can set 1 to 2 appointments per day and
yeah,
then get 3 solid consults or like presentations a week, um, why would you not be able to close at the end of the month 14 at a minimum?
yeah,
So that's the thought process. But underneath the core is beliefs. It's my belief, not to overuse the word, that underneath everything, our beliefs in what we feel like is possible is going to dictate the outcomes more than anything else.
mm,
And although you're venturing in new territory, switching from phones to doors, you'll understand this after your first day. Your first day is kind of like jumping in the pool. Once you jump in it, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I get it now. And it's just like the doors. When before you're like, I don't know about this door to door shit. Like, what are they
yeah,
like? I get it. Guys are making money in it, but I don't know if it's for me. And then
yeah,
like you shadowed a guy and you watched a few conversations and like you quickly were like, oh, okay, it's just talking to people. Sometimes people are rude, sometimes they don't answer, and then sometimes they're cool. But like that's
yeah,
same way, except they're just on the phones and you can't see them and you're comfortable in your home.
yeah,
So underneath it all, there has to be some blind faith, if you will, that it can work. And not blind faith that because I'm trying to sell you on the process, but take me and out of the equation and everything that my sales org has done, but take all other high ticket industries in the world, real estate, financial services. Um, I'm probably missing a ton, life insurance, all of these industries that do big ticket just like us. Because at the end of the day, you're selling leases just
yeah,
like them, they're selling some type of finance product. It just
yeah,
might be packaged with some other word. Ours just as packaged as solar. So in their fields, the guys who make 7 figures are scaling it by the phones. We are the only high ticket industry on the planet that are going door to door. Is what I mean.
yeah,
And guys are still killing it. You can still make great money, but
yeah,
just understand that like okay, underneath it all, I get it. We're selling solar, and everybody's like, yeah, save the planet, inverters, all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, what
yeah,
homeowners say yes and no to is the finance products. They say yes to the terms. We agree to those terms, or we don't like those terms. But they say like very little about the actual solar. And I'm not hating on solar, but I want more guys to get really clear about that because once they get clear about that, they can identify with other industries and other big players who are utilizing tech and the phones the same way.
yeah,
So if you want different results, you kind of have to think about things in a different way than what everybody else is. And if
yeah,
everybody else is still, the churn and burn on the doors, guys getting
yeah,
burnt out, guys doing the solar coaster and all this other stuff. Summer's, ramping up, and guys are going to go right back into the same thing that they really don't want to do, but they know that they can make some quick cash on it, so they'll do it. But if you want to scale to a level that you haven't before, you have to do something that you haven't done before. Like that's the only way. And so, one of the things that we said on the first call is like, you made a decision that I respect a lot to basically blaze a new trail for yourself when you decided to move across the country with not like the most ironed out detailed plan. And so in this situation, because you're already kind of in this place of newness and I'm seeking new opportunities and new ways of doing things because I basically want something different for myself, it aligns with everything that you're doing right now. And so if I'm you, man, I would actually be very excited to know and understand that I am now doing something different for the betterment of my current and future self, not just because it like sounds cool to say, but everybody who's truly scaling it on the phones and in solar or high ticket sales period, this is how they do it. So I didn't invent all these processes. I just took because I came into solar as a marketer, as an entrepreneur, and I never understood why guys were still doing stuff from Fled Flintstone ages or the 60s. I was just like, why
yeah,
are y'all doing this? Like everybody else is, utilizing tech and systems and setters. And
yeah.
so at any rate, man,
I like that answer.
yeah. The beliefs,
That's
bro. The
fire.
beliefs.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Schedule. So right now I put a schedule in there that has a break every 50 minutes. My biggest thing that is going to help you just get very immersed on the phones, like from the jump, is to like gun ahead, stick to a schedule the first week without fail. And it's not like, man, this is the schedule for the rest of my life, but it's like a challenge and a commitment to yourself from well, today's Monday, from Tuesday to next Tuesday when I'm talk to Rich again. This is the schedule of dialing that I'm doing, and I'm not going to waver from it, like no matter what. When you make that type of commitment, your luck will find you, and you'll have those people that just kind of fall out of the sky and they're ready to set. But more than anything else, you'll gain the experience that's going to make you feel more comfortable, even if those results don't come. And like I gave this example earlier, much like when you first got on the doors, you more than likely quickly saw, once you could see the conversations or have those first initial ones, you're like, oh, okay, this is all it is. Like, I can do this. Same thing on the phones. Like, once you get a few of those conversations out of the way, you'll be comfortable. But one of the things that I do want to highlight about the phones is when we get rejected on the doors, what helps is that we can literally walk it off. But on the phones, like, you're still sitting in the chair. And if you're at home and your environment's totally quiet, for whatever reason, like, it can feel a little bit more anxious. So my pointers on that are, don't have a perfectly quiet environment. Like, have the TV on very low volume, whether it's Sports Center or something funny or a podcast or whatever, but you need to be in a very comfortable state that you can work in for long periods of time. People don't need a totally quiet environment. In fact, it's actually more weird when we answer a cold call and it's totally silent. But when someone answers, even if they're in an office and there's like a bunch of people on the phone, it feels less of like a scam. But if it's like a dude and it's just like, hey man, hey Christopher, yeah, this is Rich with Revis. You're just like, what? This dude sounds like a serial killer. But if I've got something in the background and it's making me laugh, so I'm in a good mood, I'm like smiling while I'm talking, I have great energy. That's why people love to dial together. And so when you get a team of guys, even if they're local, if you ever get a team of guys in the same city, even if you don't dial together every day, dialing together, even if you guys do it like at WeWork or something like that, just like rent a small space where you can dial together for a couple of hours, you'll feed off of that energy so much. And it's always crazy production when guys can do that. But anyways, you can replicate that at home by making your environment very, very comfortable and just not quiet.
Gotcha. Okay. That's a good tip.
Then you are going to use the latest script. Is that right? With the permission-based opener? Okay.
Yeah.
I do have the other opener, which is, sorry it took me so long to get back to you. It works out a ton. It's just not for everybody. Like, if you don't believe in that opener, then don't use it. I'm really big on only making people say things that they believe in. So if there's something in the script that you're like,
certainty and confidence, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you're like, I don't normally use this word in everyday waking life, or this sounds a little bit whatever, then like, let's strike that and insert something else that you feel comfortable with. But the permission-based opener is really good for maintaining energy and confidence.
Yes. Because I know you went over like one-liners on overcoming objections that I like wrote down every single one word by word. I still have to memorize this pitch. I mean, would you recommend memorizing the whole pitch, or would you say memorizing a certain part and then just keeping it open and reading off it, or like,
Yeah, so that's a great point. So the thing that you want to, once you get through the first two statements, well, let me answer the first part of that, and then I'll come back to that. The difference in the revised one is the opener. But when you look at, so the one I just sent, let's look at this, where it says, where's the first, is this solar in green? And then there's like a pink color of what's this about and what program. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So basically, this script is perfect for if someone is calling in a more solar heavy or saturated market. I don't like to use the word saturated, but to get, I guess, get the point across. If it's saturated, we want, and they say, is this solar? Anything, if they say the word solar at all, is this solar? Is it solar again? We're going to the green. Reason being is we're able to, at that point, throw out all of the objections that someone who gets knocked often or gets called often for solar. We want to put that all on the table so they don't get a chance to say it. And we quickly get them to realize that our program is different. And so that's really one of the biggest things. It actually might be 3 scripts, but I think there's only these 2 in there. But the opener will be the biggest part. As far as what to memorize right now, definitely the first page and those 2 responses for what's this about and is this solar. After that, like, with your experience, you'll know what to do from there, and you can really break away from the paper and have a open conversation that doesn't feel scripted. So if you can memorize that first page, basically, and be able to say that like very confidently and smoothly, you should be good. But tonality is key on the phones. And this is the thing that, like, I really harp on with training. How you practice is how you perform. And so who's your favorite actor?
Probably Ryan Reynolds. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. I love Ryan Reynolds. When Ryan is practicing for a new role in his trailer, how would you assume that he reads his script?
As if he were to do it in front of the camera?
Every single time. He would never, ever like read it, and like, unless he's reading it in his head and not speaking, but he's more than likely never not doing it the way that he would actually perform. So if we only practice here, our body doesn't get any other like example of ever performing down here. And the problem with most salespeople is that they sometimes practice up here and then they sometimes practice down here, and they're like, yeah, but it's just role playing. Like, I thought we were just role playing right now. And it's like, that's the point. If I only role play up here, then when I hit the doors, go in the home, get on the call, if I'm tired that day, if I'm sick, if something in life makes me feel depressed, my body doesn't have an example of doing it any other way than up here. Like, that is my standard. So when you read the script, and I would encourage you to read it a lot tonight, video yourself doing it. You don't have to share with me if you don't want to, but like for you to watch it after is going to be the best thing. Also, I talk about this in the training, but recording yourself reading it with like really light tonality, and then listening to that recorder while you're on a walk, on a run, etc., and trying to match that cadence and tonality. Best way to memorize the script. Like that was what I did more than anything else. Some people like to write it over and over. I would get the paper, use the little app, and I'd read it like I'm, auditioning for a play, just like I'm on a call. And then I would just loop it and play it while I'm driving to an appointment, while I'm running, whatever the case may be. And I'm just saying it over and over and over. And over a couple of hours, like you can quickly remember it that way. So that's what I would do, because you don't want to have to think about what to say next. Just like if you're, on the doors, you want to be able to have that free flowing conversation. But again, once you get past that second thing, they're either going to give you an objection, or they're going to have the conversation. So it's pretty simple from there.